All right, you saw the clickbait title. I'm gonna show you what I'm doing for this. So I host all of my church's like internet infrastructure, and I just want to show you like if you didn't do it self-hosting wise, like how expensive it would be. Like look at this. Everyone needs a mailing list. A church needs a mailing list. It's just a given, and nobody's gonna buy the light account. Everyone wants the standard one. It's $25 a month just to get a mailing list, right? And that doesn't give you a website, and it doesn't give you like the ability to send normal emails or even receive normal emails. So let's say you're using the Greek system, which seems pretty common to me, and you go with their hosting package. This is how expensive it can be. Nobody's going to go with 2 gigs. 4 is like barely enough for much of anything. Everyone's going to go with 8, right? If you want to store bulletins and pictures and videos, 8 gigs is like just enough. That's $400 a year, and you only get 100 gigabytes of bandwidth per month. And still you don't have email. And if you wanted email, if you're using Proton Mail, for example, it's like maybe $4 to $5 a month for something very basic, right? So if we I don't know, maybe think about that. Yeah, I already did the math. It's like $800 a year if you want to just host everything using, services. And that doesn't include your domain name. It doesn't even include paying someone to like take care of the website. So what's my solution? My solution is I'm self-hosting everything, like I said, and it's literally like $3.50 a month to host. So this is a throwaway server, and for $3.50 a month, I get 10 gigs of storage, not 8. And it doesn't say it here. This is just the bandwidth I've used. I get 500 gigs of bandwidth, per month, and I can do whatever I want on the server. I'm not tied to like being stuck with a certain, recording system or a certain, format. I can do literally whatever I want. So I have this throwaway site. It's screwchuck.xyz. I've already set up a website on this. It's just like sup dude. This is a web page, and I've even set up a mail server with Luke Smith's email whiz. It's so quick. It's the best, and I have them all like set up on the DNS here. I'm not going to go over that. There's tons of stuff online for that. There's even a great website. It's landshad.net. Has tutorials for all this stuff. Like you can do basically everything I did, setting up a website with Nginx, getting a firewall up, and look at all these other things you can do here. It's great. But setting up email, everything, that's your homework. That's on you. The hard part that there's not a lot of information for online is the mailing list component. And for that, I found a thing called LISTMONK. And like for a church, that's the best name ever. And it's so boomer friendly. Everything is clickable. It supports Markdown. It has a like what you see is what you get editor in it too. So let's get right into it, man. So, okay, sweet. We're just going to install LISTMONK here on my server. We're just going to grab the binary for this here. We're going to need a Linux AMD 64. Just going to copy that. Now I'm going to make a directory called LISTMONK in the Etsy part of the system. Just do Etsy LISTMONK, and we're just going to download this this tar file. We're just going to unzip it here, and that's going to give us our file here. Now before we get anywhere, we want to make sure we have a user for this. We want to have a LISTMONK user. I have some notes on this. Where did I put it? Here we go. So we want a system user. I might as well just copy this command here. So we want to have a system user that's in its own group that doesn't have a login. Like if someone breaches your system, you don't want them having shell access on this random user you made. We're going to put the directory in varlib, which on Debian is a pretty standard place for like system users to go. Perfect. Now we want to make sure we have PostgreSQL. Now the instructions for this are actually pretty sparse. It's just a binary, which is great. But we need some pre-processing. We need to make sure we have Postgres installed. Oops. I forgot the G. Perfect. Yep. And that'll take just a little minute. So once we get this installed, we're going to make sure we have the actual database for it set up, because LISTMONK will try, and in my experience, it will fail if it doesn't have the infrastructure set up for it already. So this is just going to take another second here. The command we're going to run for this is just, we need to get into the PSQL user. There we are, we're in. We're just going to make a database just called LISTMONK. I'm just going to zoom in here. Perfect. We want to make sure we give it a user with a password. We're just going to give it like the most basic password. Create user LISTMONK with encrypted password. Yeah, it's just going to be password 123. I don't care. Okay, and we want to grant all of the privileges on that database we made before to the user. They have the same name. Hold on. On database LISTMONK to LISTMONK. Oops. I cannot type. There we go. Okay. Awesome. Oops. There we go. Okay. My bad. Awesome. So we have the database that we need. Now what we're going to do is we need to install the binary we have here to user local bin. That's just a sensible place to put it. There we go. Perfect. So if we go there now, we should, yeah, you can see it here. There it is. Awesome. So now that we've done that, we can actually, I think we should be able to just run the binary. It should be in our path now. Yeah, nice. So we want to go new config. Oh, awesome. And here it is. Yep, config.toml. We're going to move that to the directory we made before, the LISTMONK directory. So if we go to etc listmonk, there it is. Awesome. Now in here, oops, we have a couple things. For example, this is where when we load our website, this is going to be running on localhost 9000. We'll want to reverse proxy this before we do anything. And down here, for our Postgres database here, we want to make sure we have the right password. So ours was password 123. Awesome. And we made sure that we made that in Postgres before we did anything. So we should be good. And we want to make sure we just own everything to the LISTMONK group. And user in etc listmonk. Awesome. So if we check that, exactly what we want, exactly what we want. So I think we're good to install. LISTMONK -- install. So yep, it's going to wipe everything. That's okay. Permission denied for schema public. Okay. I'll be right back. We're going to see what's going on. I tried a couple of things. Third time's a charm. Let's see. So what I just tried here was, apparently this is a security upgrade in Postgres 15, where you need to actually specifically make sure that the database owner is the user. So alter database LISTMONK owner to LISTMONK. And then some right quit. And let's see here. Hopefully this works. No super user admin. Oh, let's go. Okay, so it worked. All right. So before we get anywhere, you could just, if you didn't have a firewall running, you could do this, but you can see here, I have UFW running. So I could just turn this off, but I think this is a good place now to stop and work on creating a page for this that will have like HTTPS and everything. So what we want to do is we're going to make a new web page here under Nginx sites available. I like naming things, after the domain, so it's going to be at LISTMONK. Or you could just do list, but I'll do LISTMONK just to be complete at .skookumchuck.xyz. Awesome. Now I have this written down here. Yeah. So you'll just set this up kind of like a dummy site where you have listen on 80 and on IPv6 with your subdomain here. You'll need an index just so it doesn't error on you, but this is the beef here. We're just passing the proxy from localhost onto 9000, and we want to include proxy params, and it's going to shoot it to here. Now what we'll do is we're going to make a symlink, just like you would enable any site to Nginx sites enabled. Nginx-T is going to make sure we're doing things right. Okay. So we're going to restart Nginx, and hopefully, oh, you can see I was doing research here. listmonk.scoopmchuck.xyz. Awesome. Okay. It is working. Trust me. We need to run listmonk now. So we need to run the binary. Okay. Look at that. That's great. So we need to make a user here. So I'm just going to make this my information, but realistically you would put this probably actually towards the email that you made for whoever your priest is. So on this example, I made it Father John Doe at it'll be at scoopmchuck.xyz. I just set this up like the MailWiz instructions tell you. Username, I'm just going to make username. Password is just going to be password. I know we don't have HTTPS yet. We'll add that in a second, but we're just kind of going through here. Awesome, we're in. So, okay, before we get ahead of ourselves, I'm going to kill this here. And what we're going to do is we are going to run certbot. And since we made this in Nginx already, if we come to certbot here, go to LISTMONK, it should work. It should give us a certificate. Always takes a minute. So I guess while we wait for this, kind of where we want to go from here is we need to make sure now that once we do this, we need a system service. This runs in the background. But in the meantime, we're just going to run it in the foreground here. LISTMONK, awesome. Hey, look, we have the subdomain and we've got HTTPS. This is so cool. So, awesome. Now you can come here. I'm going to come to settings real quick, and I'm just going to set up the, yeah. So we no longer need this. We can change it now to listmonk.skookumchuck.xyz. You can call it mailing list, whatever you want to. This is all changeable here. So this should work. It should work just fine. Oh, it doesn't have the ability to start yet. Okay. Okay, so it looks like it worked. Really what we want to do is when it comes to SMTP, this is the beef here. This is how we're going to set up our mailing server here. So our host, if you follow MailWiz, is going to be mail dot just mail prefixing your domain name. And I believe our port is 587. I believe. Auth is just going to be plain. Our username is just the user we're using before, Father John Doe, and the password I have here. Awesome. And it's gonna kill itself every time until it's running as a service. Okay. I think I did that right. Awesome. Now, this is set up here. We're gonna take care of the service now. We're gonna go into etc systemd system and then make something called listmonk.service. Awesome. And I have this written down for me already here. Awesome. So basically we're just telling this that it is an online thing. It's going to be making connections outside the server. We want to tell it that it is executable and this is its path. If you remember from before, it's its own user, it's its own group. We always want it to restart if it fails, and the restart time for that is 10 seconds. Oops. Now this is important too. The command we want it to start is listmonk like we were running in the foreground, and we want to tell it specifically that the config is here because it might not have, when this is running in the system, it may or may not have the same path that we have. We were kind of running listmonk in the etc directory, so it was just pulling it from the path that we were in, the config file. So this is going to tell it explicitly to source it And the wanted by multi-user target is basically just going to let us, you know, execute this as the system, and it will help with some permission things. Now what we need to do here is we need to do, now that we have this, we need to run a thing called daemon reload. That's just going to make sure the system is aware that LISTMONK is a thing. And it is. And now we're going to do systemctl enable LISTMONK. Awesome. And if we're lucky, we should be able to start it. Okay, that didn't seem too bad. Do we get a status on this? Nice, and look, it even shows us. That's so cool. Let's see here. If I reload this, it should be... Oh, so it's running it as a service. If you restart your server, it's going to restart too. Well, I think we're pretty much good. So I just kind of want to show you a couple things about LISTMONK that's pretty neat. So you can make your own mailing list. I think we have a test one here. Yeah, a default list and also an opt-in list. I'm just going to add, I think I can add myself to this here. Can I add subscribers to this, or do I need to, yes, I can add myself. I can just edit this one. This is common knowledge. You guys have my email. I don't really care about this. Save it. Awesome. Now, to make something, you need to just go to campaigns here. And we'll just make a new one. Just testing. We're sending it from, it should be pulling from the mail settings that we set. I don't think this from address really matters. This is really just important if you wanted to have an external mail address. But we want to make sure this is sending to the opt-in list as before. We're sending with the messenger that we set up. And yep, we can just continue. And this is so cool. This is a what you see is what you get. Rich text is exactly that, but you can also do markdown, HTML, plain text. So this is crazy because you can really just, it's just like Word. You can set headings like, hello, this is a test. You can even insert pictures and links and tables, and you can even get analytics on the links. So this is really great. Now, I guess for a picture, I'm just going to grab the thumbnail for this video. Yeah, and it should work great. Okay, so I thought this might be an issue. I wanted to check this. Now, sometimes uploads can be a little tricky. I want to see if this actually has the error here. So no such directory. I'm under the impression we need to go to the location that the config file is in, which is here, obviously. So etc LISTMONK. I believe we need an uploads directory. We're going to make a directory for uploads. Now let's see if this fixes our problem here. No such file or directory. All right, I'm going to take a look at this, and I'll get back to you in a second and see what we need to do here. All right, figured it out. So I managed to upload this here. So yeah, putting images in is actually really easy too, but we want to make sure we come to settings here and go to, oh, oops, let me save this first. Whatever, I don't really care. You need to make sure you go to media uploads in the settings, and the upload path needs to be under, it can be wherever, but for, you know, sanity's sake, it should go under etc LISTMONK like we made earlier. So basically we need to make sure that we have a folder called uploads. Obviously I already have it in testing this, but what's really important is that you need to make sure it has the same permissions as the parent directory. So it needs to be in the accessible to the LISTMONK group and user, and just apply that here. Once you do that, you can upload stuff. So if we come back to our campaign here, we should be able to insert a photo. Just like before, this one's great. And you can change the width and everything, it's wonderful. So I'm gonna make it tiny. Yeah, look at that. And you can even preview these things. Yeah, nice. It's so wonderful. And if I did this correctly, starting the campaign, we'll send it to the list that we made, which should just be my email. And hopefully we don't have any issues. Okay. Let's see here. Hopefully, did I use the right list here? confirmed. Okay. Should be, I might need to email myself actually. Error sending out email. Alright, I'll be right back again. I hope you can forgive me. It was stupid. It was so stupid. Okay, let me show you. So, in settings here, if you're not sending, if the default from address is not the same as the email you're sending, it just won't let you, and it doesn't tell you why. It's like a very generic error. So you need to make sure that this from address field in settings is actually like your email. I'm not sure what I had before, but just to make sure everything's consistent, if you're using EmailWiz, you need to make sure that your host is this, like your mail dot subdomain, your port is 587. You make sure you're using login, that your username is like the full username, not just like the name, and then your password, obviously. So if that's what you've got, and this address matches this address, you're good. Now, I sent out a test campaign here, this one here. I'll show you what it looks like on your email. Yeah, like this. So you'll receive an HTML email when you do this. And here we come. Yeah, and then they're nicely formatted and everything. And what's super cool, you can view it in browser, which is nice. It always will say this in the bottom, no matter if you're in it or not. But if you come back here and come to archive, you should be able to see it in a public archive, which is cool. And what's great about this is if you come to your lists here, so this opt-in list, you should be able to get, it's public, yeah. So if I come to LISTMONK here, just the base URL, I can come to the mailing list archive. It will have the email itself here and an RSS feed. So, yeah, an RSS feed. And so if you want to be able to send things to people through email super easily, LISTMONK is great. Forgive the hiccups. This is kind of an incoherent video, but it demonstrates how these things work and some common pitfalls. But if you've got cool people that use cool things like the setup I have, and I know a couple of you guys have, you can use RSS too. So you can kind of bridge the gap for everybody and not leave anybody hanging. So if you wanted a replacement for like getting people's attention for YouTube live streams or something, LISTMONK is great. So thank you for watching. That's all I know. All right, see ya.